I supported my fiance's whole family for years. I then caught her cheating. So I left, cut her family off, and stopped paying their bills. Now everyone thinks I'm heartless and I should help them. I come here for advice because everyone on my family and friends circle thinks I'm overreacting and need to forgive and the usual bullshit. So I want to know if you guys think the same. Let me get you the context first. I am 33 and I meet my fiancée Andrea, 32, in high school. We were both 15 at the time, and since then we stay together. We had our rough patches when I went to study to a nearby city, but used to visit her most of the time. But when I finally got my studies done and was able to work at our town, things got better. To this, I have to add Andrea comes from a really poor family. We talking 8 siblings, a house made out of wood, and a zinc roof. Gotta bless South America standards. So, knowing this, I was mostly the provider of our relationship. It didn't bother me. I loved to take her out to eat ice cream and see her smile when I take her to car rides on my father car. As time progressed, the things I could afford got better since I studied in IT and landed a high-paying job working on the town bank. I was almost set for life. I got myself a nice place to live that I rent from an old man that my parents knew. We're talking one of those ranch houses with plenty of rooms to spare and 2 floors. Also, she could live on a bigger house like she used to say she'd dream. Then one day she asked me if her parents and 2 of her sisters, age 12 and 14, could come live with us, that their living conditions are really bad. I knew that, so I said yes. We had rooms to spare and we weren't expecting a child. So why not, I thought. I know them and they're good people. Fast forwards, and I helped pay for a private school for her 2 sisters, plus some medical treatment her mother is going through. I must say the rest of their brothers try to pinch some money, but mostly have day-to-day jobs. And you know how the economy is a hellhole down here, so it never bothers me helping them since I could. Now comes the famous D-Day. We got invited to a birthday of one of her nephews, and I told her she should go first because I had a work thing that I had to go first. The birthday party was in a park, and I arrived maybe 2 hours after she had arrived, and I asked where she is to one of her nephews. He points me to the park restroom. So I walk there and I turn the corner to see my fiancée hugging and kissing one of her family friends. She sees me, we both lock eyes, of course she panics, tell me this is not what it looks like, and I bolt towards my car. As I was running out of the situation, towards my car, all the kids started to follow me, thinking I'm playing a game, but her family pick up fast something was happening as she start banging on my glass windows and screaming as I turn the car on and then drive off. I have no idea what happened after that. Just know I felt like shit and went to my parents' place and hide on one of their empty rooms. After a week, I had to face her, of course, and return home to see a whole congregation. Basically, all her family was there. Imagine 2 parents, 8 effing siblings with kids included, and she all came together to try to see if I could forgive, if I could see past her betrayal. We kind of fight a little, but of course I was overwhelmed. Then I asked the question of how long the cheating was going for, but she didn't answer. So I just walk away to a bunch of people screaming at me to come back. They said stuff like, "Don't be a coward, try to see beyond this." You get the idea. Then 3 days later, I asked her to talk alone, told a couple of mutual friends to help us, and we said meeting. I arrived first, and I explained to them and told them who the guy was and all. To which they say they knew the guy, and he was an ex of my fiancée. From what period I really don't know, but I don't wish to know it. The moment I learned who that guy was, I canceled the meeting with her and sent her a message telling her not to come. I said I'd go pack my stuff, and that's exactly what I did. 2 weeks later, after all the fights, I moved out and went back to my parents' place. It wasn't easy. We argued a lot, and I had to face every single one of her siblings trying to convince me to forgive their sister's mistake. I ended up blocking most of them and putting my foot down, telling them it wasn't their business. Then her friends started piling on, and even some of my own friends said it was just a mistake and that I should move on. But the worst part, both my parents said seeing me like that wasn't right and suggested maybe I should forgive her and fix our relationship. At that point, it felt like nobody cared about how I was doing, only about the relationship itself. I cut ties with most of those people, except a few of my best friends, and went low contact with my parents while I moved into a tiny, rundown, 1-bedroom apartment I could rent fast. Fast forward 2 months after all of this, I paid the last month, then cut ties with all remaining financial responsibilities: the house I was renting, the private school, her mother's medical treatment, and pills. Everything. You guys can imagine the stress. When the bills came, she completely lost it. She ran to my parents' place. I wasn't there. And then came to my work to find me. She groveled, cried, begged me for another chance, saying she didn't want to lose any of us, especially for her mother's sake. I told her I had no attachment anymore, not to her or her family, and drove off. Since then, she's talked to most people in my circle again. Of course, they say I'm being cruel, that I have the money to spare, and even my parents are saying I should show more compassion for her and her family after everything. And honestly, Reddit, who's showing any compassion for me? I stopped paying their bills and moved on, but now everyone is acting like I'm the asshole. Am I really the asshole for cutting all the payments and letting them face the consequences, even if it means their grandma might be in trouble or they have to go back to a crumbling house? Best comments. Nothing is stopping the people who say you should pay for everything from paying for everything. Why aren't they chipping in if they are so concerned? Because they believe that since I have more than them, I should be able to just spend it. I think it is a weird way people think in South America, especially in a shitty town like this. They only want him for his money. I don't know why his parents don't see that, but OP, you did nothing wrong. No one pays for their ex's family expenses. Most people wouldn't even pay for their current partner's family. You went above and beyond, so don't feel bad after you were the victim here. My parents are dumb religious people who believe everything can be forgiven and fixed, and that I'll end up alone now. So it was easy for them to fall for her crocodile tears and her apologies. It's just me who's being the bad guy, acting all mad about it, but I do understand I'm right. It's just most people don't think the same. Remember, they've been together since they were 15, which means this sex happened during their relationship, and other people knew about it, including apparently some of their friends. Her family seemingly knew about it too, and was entirely unconcerned, and given nobody ever told him, they helped to hide this. Anyone telling him to work this out is beyond delusional. Hey, get back together with that cheating leech and support her family, who thinks it's fine for her to cheat on you for likely years as they feast upon your generosity. Update number 1. I want to thank you all for the comments. I was really overwhelmed, and I really needed someone else who could understand my point of view. Besides a couple of best friends, the majority was to forgive and move back, but now I think I get the message. I'll try to move on, and I will talk to my parents. I'll stay low contact since I do understand why they kind of side with her, but I don't want to hear what they have to say. And for my fiancée, I'll try to stay away as much as I can. It's going to be hard, being this is a small town, but right now, I feel like shit, and I want to know the whole story of why, and when, perhaps one day when I get the courage, I'll humiliate myself and ask her. I thank you all very much for the comments again, and I hope you all can have a nice day. Update number 2, 42 days later. So, before I begin the update, I'll add some information I learned around a month ago about my ex. Basically, a friend of hers saw my frail appearance while I was working. I lost around 15 kilograms from this whole drama and harassment. So she felt guilty about hiding so many secrets of my ex and wrote to me on Instagram telling me to meet up. We met up in one of the plazas, and she told me that she was getting married soon. She felt guilty about what she hid about my ex for starters. She explained when it all started. Like many guests from the previous post, it was around the time I was doing the 4th year at university to my graduation. Since it was a heavy time for me personally, I didn't come back home as much, so we kept it long distance for a time, and the stress made me not focus on other things like social or interactions and such. During this period, she was studying to become a nurse, but then she stopped studying. Her reasons? She didn't have the money for it, or so she told me. The actual reason was that she got pregnant by the guy and had an abortion. Her friend was there at the moment and told me that after that, she started to hate the hospital, so she dropped out of college. But she kept seeing this guy until I came back after I graduated. She then told me that he's a trucker, hence their escapades were few but still enough. But later, during our time together, while also trying for a kid ourselves, she got pregnant a second time, and she didn't know who was the father. Not wanting to risk the life she had at the time, she called that same friend to accompany her to the hospital and had a second abortion. For me, It was just something to do with her bladder, for what I can remember. Her friend kind of told me some more important revelations, but I was so shocked I couldn't listen anymore. Like more times they met or what excuses she used. That same day, I went home completely broken. After I broke up with her and stopped paying the rent for the house, she went to live with him, and since he goes out of town most of the time due to his job, she almost every time he is out, she comes to my home calling for me, asking for forgiveness, saying how bad she felt. At the time, I never yell at her or mistreated her, but after learning such things about her past, I was boiling for the next time she showed up. So, the same week I learned of her cruel past, she came to visit me. That day, I lashed out against her, screaming and insulting her. It was loud enough that my throat hurt me for 3 days, and I decided that it was enough. So I went to the police. I wanted to press charges for a restraining order against her. But the policeman at the time laughed at me, like I was saying a joke, and told me to man up. After that fight, I spoke seriously to my parents since our relationship was kind of rocky from them supporting my ex, but now they fully support me and kind of stopped that boomerism way of thinking. But I never saw my ex again after that time. After I knew, a whole month went by in silence while I tried to fix the bits and pieces of my life, thanks to friends and coworkers trying to cheer the gloomy guy. Now, around 5 days ago, while working, I received a couple of calls from my mother, which I cut, then messaged her on my break. She then told me to check the Facebook link she sent me, and it was a video of the news of the town saying about an assault and murder between a man and a woman, the woman being my ex and the man, you guessed it, her affair partner. After I closed the video, I unblocked and called her parents to find out if that was true. They couldn't answer me through their crying, but when I came out of work, her older brother was waiting for me to tell me the news and that he would love if I could go to her funeral. At least to forgive her, I obliged, but my feelings were completely empty for her. I arrived with my parents, and her whole family came to greet me, some telling me how much they missed me. Then, when I got in, I kind of felt like I wanted to see her one last time, perhaps shed a tear one last time, but they had to mourn her with the casket closed due to the damage done to her face, so the last time I saw her was her shocked, crying face as I shouted her. I said my piece, and later she was buried. After her burial, the brother, who was the friend of the cheating guy, came to talk to me. First, he apologized because he also knew most of the cheating that was going around, but decided to keep it quiet because of her parents' and sister's new comfortable life. Then he explained to me that while she was living with him, it wasn't all roses. He cheated on her during his travels and boasted about it to his friends, and verbally abused her, and physically once, but cut it after the older brother threatened him. He told me a neighbor of theirs called the police 3 times on them, and that she sometimes slept at her older brother's house. But since he's taking care now of his parents, the teenage sisters, and, at the time, his pregnant wife, the brother couldn't keep her for long, so she always returned to him until now, this last time. For what that same brother told me, it seems they fought the night before, and it got serious enough that he ended up killing her. The neighbor heard the screams and quickly called the police, but by the time they arrived, it was too late. He ran away. So, for now, there's no justice for her. Now, my feelings? Well, I'm quite numb, to be honest. Perhaps still not touching ground, but to be honest, this is not the end I wanted to post or the karma she should have gotten. I know it's not the usual update one can expect, but thank you for reading it and for the comments on the last post. I will continue to lurk as I always did and hope for the best. With that said, thank you for your time. Edit number 1. The police finally caught the murderer while trying to pass the border to the adjacent country. Our province borders with 2 other countries. So I hope her family can now find some justice and she can rest in peace now. Best comments. I'm getting strong Central or South America vibes from this. I'm thinking on Colombia or Brazil. I heard offhandedly that the femicide cases are not rare there. I say that while you grieve for the parents' loss of their daughter, she did too much damage to you for you to warrant giving AF. Also, don't associate with them anymore. Stop all contact. This is just something you put behind you and never really bring up. In his original post, he said South America. You need a vacation, therapy, and no contact with anyone who was a part of this mess. Only then can you find some peace. Don't beat yourself up. It sucks this happened, but it was her choices that got her to this point, not yours. You had every right to say the things you did and treat her the way you did when you last saw her. After all, she was still even then playing her game. Wish you a better future. Don't feel guilty. She made her choices. Everyone seemed to know she was cheating on you. Her family and friends. Nobody held her accountable. I personally wouldn't have gone to the funeral. Her family was also betraying you while using you as an ATM. They are no better than her. They were content to facilitate her cheating as long as the money kept coming in. Remember that the affair partner was at their family function.